The 1980s gave us iconic monsters we all know. Freddy, Jason, the Xenomorph. But there's a whole universe of bizarre creature films nobody remembers. A giant worm eating people. An ancient serpent god on the Chrysler Building. Alien slugs crawling through human brains. These aren't the horror movies you've heard about. They're the weird, wild B-movies that defined the era. Stick around as we explore 5 forgotten monster movies that prove the 80s was genuinely unhinged. Let's go. The Boogens 1981. When ancient things wake up in abandoned mines, picture this. An abandoned mining operation high in the Colorado mountains. A group of workers decide to reopen the shafts and accidentally awaken something that should have stayed buried in the darkness below. The Boogens aren't your typical movie monsters. They're primordial creatures that look like a twisted cross between a lizard and something from the ocean's deepest trenches. Imagine a creature with multiple legs, a slimy exterior, and teeth that don't belong to anything that should exist. The film builds its terror not through loud jump scares or elaborate set pieces, but through mystery and paranoia. You rarely see the Boogens clearly, just glimpses in shadows, strange sounds echoing through tunnels, and people running in pure panic. What makes the Boogens genuinely unsettling is its restraint. The filmmakers understood something crucial. What you don't fully see is scarier than what you do. There's a memorable scene where a Boogens attacks a character's face, and it's graphic enough to make you uncomfortable, subtle enough to stick with you for hours. It's the kind of practical effects work that defined pre-CGI horror, messy, real, and deeply unpleasant in the best way possible. But here's the thing. The Boogens got completely buried when bigger monster movies dominated the 1980s. The Thing, Aliens, and Poltergeist sucked all the oxygen out of the room, leaving this little gem to fade into obscurity. It's almost fitting for a movie about creatures that live underground. It got buried itself in a way. Q, the Winged Serpent, 1982. There's a creature living on top of the Chrysler Building. This premise alone is absolutely bonkers. A petty criminal in New York discovers something unbelievable while hiding in the upper reaches of Manhattan's famous skyline. There's a Quetzalcoatl, an ancient Aztec serpent god, nesting on top of the Chrysler Building and eating people. This is the kind of idea that only director Larry Cohen could pull off. And somehow it works. Q, the Winged Serpent, is exactly as weird as it sounds. And that's precisely why it's brilliant. The creature itself is a marvel of practical effects, even though it's undeniably low budget. It's a man-in-suit creation that flies through the air on wires, snatching victims from rooftops and streets like some demented bird of prey. It looks ridiculous by modern standards, sure. That's not an insult. There's something genuinely charming about seeing a rubber dragon bird terrorizing New York City. But what's impressive is how the film takes this premise seriously. It's not winking at the camera. It's not self-aware. It's playing the absurd scenario straight, which makes the whole thing more unsettling. The film also plays with urban anxiety in a way that was ahead of its time. New York feels claustrophobic despite being a huge city. Everyone's trapped on the ground while this thing hunts from above. It's a creature feature disguised as a paranoid thriller, and it's way smarter than it has any right to be. Yet Q remains criminally obscure, overshadowed by bigger blockbusters, appreciated only by devoted B-movie collectors and horror enthusiasts. It's a shame because this is genuinely creative cinema. Night of the Creeps, 1986, alien slugs in your brain, zombies on campus. Night of the Creeps wears its 50s sci-fi influences proudly. Imagine this: worm-like alien parasites infiltrate human brains, liquefying the host from the inside and turning college students into shambling, slug-infested zombies. The film's set in a university during a fraternity initiation gone wrong, and suddenly everyone's dealing with extraterrestrial body snatchers on top of typical college problems. Director Fred Decker understood something essential about genre filmmaking: balance comedy with genuine scares without letting either one undermine the other. Night of the Creeps manages this juggling act beautifully. The characters feel real and likable, which means you actually care when things go wrong. When a character's head becomes a mobile nest for alien parasites, it's both horrifying and deeply unsettling. There's a particular scene involving a decapitated head that gets possessed and acts independently. It's absolutely grotesque and one of the film's most memorable moments. The creatures themselves are practical puppet work at its finest. Those wriggling alien slugs, the zombie makeup, the gore effects. Everything feels tactile and immediate in a way that digital effects simply can't replicate. This was made in 1986, before computers could convincingly fake everything, so every effect had to be done practically. And it shows. But despite its creativity and genuine craft, Night of the Creeps got lost in the shuffle of 1980s horror. A Nightmare on Elm Street, The Fly, and other major releases overshadowed it. Still, cult audiences have recognized it as a true gem, a B-movie that actually deserves an A rating. Slugs, 1988. Giant worms with teeth in your sewers. Okay, let's talk about slugs, and I'll understand if you're skeptical right away. It's a movie about giant slugs eating people. But here's what makes it work. The filmmakers took the premise seriously. Set in a rural New England town, Slugs follows the spreading nightmare as oversized, ravenous mollusks start infesting the sewers and emerging to devour anyone in their path. These aren't tiny garden slugs. They're thick, bloated, and absolutely disgusting, with actual teeth and an appetite for human flesh. Slugs is the kind of movie that takes an absurd concept and commits to it completely. The creatures look real because they basically are. They're practical effects, slimy and textured and deeply uncomfortable to look at. There's something more frightening about a creature that's just a massive version of something mundane than there is about an alien with elaborate features. Your brain recognizes what a slug is, and then it has to process the horror of seeing one the size of a small dog with a mouthful of teeth. That cognitive dissonance creates genuine unease. The kill scenes are deliberately nasty and intimate. There's a scene where a slug eats into someone's face from inside their mouth. It's genuinely difficult to watch. The film refuses to look away or soften the impact. It's a movie about ugly, disgusting things, and it looks ugly and disgusting on purpose. This commitment to grotesqueness is actually impressive from a filmmaking perspective. But it's also exactly why Slugs got completely forgotten. It's not fun in the way most creature features are. It's not clever or campy. It's just relentlessly grim and slimy. Most people who encounter it either love it or wish they could unsee it. There's no middle ground. Spookies, 1986. Everything monsters in one haunted house. Spookies might be the most wonderfully chaotic movie on this list. The premise is simple. A group of young people go to an old mansion in Europe, for reasons the film never quite explains or cares about, and then everything gets weird. Ghosts, reanimated corpses, demonic dogs, possessed humans, creatures that look like they were designed by someone who'd never seen animals before. Spookies throws everything at you. It's like someone said, what if we just put every monster idea we had into one movie, and nobody said no? The absolute nonsense of Spookies is actually its greatest strength. There's no coherent plot, no thematic through line, just a series of increasingly absurd supernatural encounters. One moment you're watching a demonic ritual. The next you're seeing a dog that looks like it's made from rubber and nightmares. Then suddenly there's a creature that's just there, looking like nothing in particular, menacing nobody in particular. The film moves at a breakneck pace because it has to. It can't stop long enough for you to ask questions. Some scenes are actually pretty effective. There's genuine atmosphere in parts of it, and the practical effects, while often bizarre, show craft and effort. But the overall experience is one of total incoherence. It's the kind of film that suggests the director either had complete creative freedom or absolutely no supervision, possibly both. By conventional standards, this makes Spookies a bad movie. By B-movie standards, this makes it fascinating. It's the kind of film you stumble upon at 2 a.m. in a bargain bin at a used video store, watch with a group of friends, and end up talking about for years. It's incomprehensible, but it's confidently incomprehensible. And sometimes that's enough. The Nest, 1988, Carnivorous Cockroaches from Hell. The Nest takes a concept that sounds ridiculous on paper and executes it with genuine style and grotesque conviction. Killer cockroaches. But these aren't just oversized bugs. They're genetically mutated, carnivorous, and working together as a hive consciousness to consume everything in their path. The film follows a small island community that becomes ground zero for an invasion of these creatures, leading to escalating body counts and increasingly creative kills. Director Terrence H. Winkless and screenwriter Robert King understood something crucial. If you're going to make a movie about killer insects, commit to the disgust. The Nest doesn't flinch from showing the roaches in graphic detail. They're practical animatronics that look absolutely repulsive. Shiny, chitinous, with mandibles designed to disturb. The kill sequences are deliberately nasty, featuring the insects eating through flesh and bone with mechanical efficiency. There's a scene involving a character's face that's genuinely difficult to watch, not because of gore, but because of the sheer wrongness of insects crawling over human skin. What's surprising about the nest is that it maintains genuine tension throughout. The creatures multiply exponentially, become harder to kill, and force the surviving characters into increasingly desperate situations. The film doesn't waste time with exposition. It trusts that you understand the premise and immediately starts escalating the chaos. Like slugs, it refuses to make its subject sympathetic or funny. It's relentlessly grim and unpleasant, which is exactly what makes it effective. But also like slugs, this commitment to grimness meant it got buried and largely forgotten, appreciated only by those willing to seek out films specifically about insects eating people. These films represent something special about 80s horror, pure creativity with minimal budgets and maximum weirdness. They didn't have big studios or A-list stars, just ideas, practical effects, and a genuine desire to make something strange and terrifying. Sure, they're bizarre and some barely make sense, but that's what makes them endure. In a world of predictable remakes, there's something refreshing about movies that commit to being genuinely odd. So which of these forgotten gems have you seen? And which one are you brave enough to watch? Drop a comment below. If you loved this deep dive into obscure horror, smash like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more forgotten films. Thanks for watching.